Welcome back my kings and queens, and welcome to this complete beginner guide in Blender. In this two-part series we will go ahead and create this little island. If you're interested in even more in-depth videos, you can go ahead and check out this low polyforced house scene creation with the link in my description. But now let's go ahead and start right into the modeling of the island. At the bottom left of my screen you can see the keys that I'm pressing, so if I should forget to say any key that I've pressed, you can see the key that I've pressed at the bottom left of my screen. And just to be sure that you know the basic controls of Blender, you can go ahead and rotate your view by pressing the middle mouse button and moving your mouse. And you can go ahead and move your view by holding the shift key, the middle mouse button and moving your mouse. So now to start off this new scene, the first thing that I do is to press A to select all, and then I will go ahead and press X to open up the delete menu and click on delete, as we do not need the camera, the cube and the light. And after this we have a completely empty scene, which is exactly what we need. So as the next step you need to know what you want to create. And for the scene that we are creating in this series, the first thing that we need to create is the island. And as we now know that we want to create the island, we need to think about what shape do we need to add into the Blender scene so we can go ahead and model the island out of it. And in this case the easiest shape would be a cylinder. So let's go ahead and open up the add menu by pressing shift and A. In the add menu you can go ahead and hover with your mouse over mesh, then go to the right side and go ahead and click on cylinder to add in a new cylinder to the scene. If we go ahead and zoom in using our mouse wheel and rotate our view a little bit, we can see that the cylinder has way too many vertices. So once you have added in the cylinder and you do not have pressed any other key, you will still have this menu at the bottom left right here. And you can go ahead and open up this menu by clicking on this arrow at the left side right here. In this menu you can go ahead and change the settings of the cylinder. And as I already said, that the cylinder has way too many vertices, and you can see that the vertices count right here is 32. Let's go ahead and reduce the vertices by clicking on the arrow right here, and let's go and reduce the vertices down to 12. Now again you can go ahead and close up the menu by clicking on this arrow right here, and after this step you will have a cylinder out of 12 vertices. Now this is still a weird shape for an island, as you want the island to be a little bit thinner and way bigger, and you will go ahead and do this of course by scaling up the cylinder. Now at this point it's important to note that Blender has the object mode and the edit mode. You can go ahead and switch the modes at the top left right here. When you go ahead and click on this arrow, you see that you have the object mode and the edit mode. And as a shortcut for this, you can also go ahead and while the cylinder is selected, and the cylinder is selected when the cylinder has this orange outline, you can go ahead and press tab to switch between the object mode and the edit mode. In the edit mode you are able to modify the geometry of the object. At the top left right here you can see that you're currently in the select mode vertex. The shortcut for this would be 1, and the vertex is only a point in the scene right here. When you go ahead and press 2, you're in the edge selecting mode, and you have an edge for example right here. And when you go ahead and press 3, you're in the face selection mode, and you can go ahead and select a face right here for example. And all of these faces, edges and vertices are only editable in the edit mode, as if you would go ahead and press tab again to go back into the object mode, you can see that you're only able to edit the whole object itself, but not the geometry of the object. So let's go back into the edit mode by pressing tab again, and now let's go ahead and scale up the cylinder to the size of the island. To do this, let's go ahead and press A to select all of the cylinder, and it does not matter if you do this with all of the faces selected, with all of the edges or with all of the vertices selected, as if you press A to select all, everything will be selected anyways. But just to keep up with me, go ahead and press 1 so that all of the vertices are selected. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit and press S and go ahead and move our mouse to scale up the cylinder, and you can see that the cylinder gets scaled up on every axis to the exact same value. Let's go ahead and scale this up to a point around here where you can see at the top right here that the scale is around 7 on each axis. And to apply the scale you can go ahead and press left click. So now at this point the area of the island is big enough, but the island is way too high. So now we want to scale down the cylinder, but we only want to scale it down on the Z axis. And to do this, you can go ahead and press S for scaling, and then go ahead and press Z so that you're only able to scale down or scale up the cube on the Z axis. And we of course want to scale down the cylinder, so go ahead and scale it down all the way to a point around here with a scale at the top, so right here, will be set to 0.08, and you can go ahead and apply the scale by pressing left click. Alright, then from right here you can go ahead and zoom a little bit into the scene and take a look on what you have created. Now this cylinder right here will be the dirt in the scene. So let's go ahead and at the outliner at the top right, you can go ahead and click on the cylinder and then press F2 so you can go ahead and rename the cylinder. And let's go ahead and rename the cylinder to dirt. But for now, the cylinder does not look like dirt. So now let's go ahead and add in a material to the cylinder. Before we will go ahead and add in a material, let's go ahead and deselect all of the vertices that we have selected right now. And you can go ahead and do this by pressing Alt and A to deselect all. Then to add in a material, you can go ahead and click on this red sphere at the right side to open up the materials tab. And right here you can go ahead and click on new to create a new material. And the material has the name material 0.001. So go ahead and click on the name and rename this material to dirt. And at the bottom right here on the surface, you can go ahead and change the base color. So go ahead and click on this white spot right here to open up the color menu. And go ahead and take this dot in the middle right here and drag it into the orange section to a point around here. And you can see that nothing changes. This is because we are still in the solid mode. And you can only see the materials in the render and in the material preview mode. You can go ahead and change the shading by pressing Z to open up the shading menu, and at the right here you can see that we are in the solid shading, and you can go ahead and click on material preview to go into the material preview shading. So let's go ahead and open up again the base color so we can go ahead and adjust the color to a dirt tone. So go ahead and move down the brightness at the right side right here to make this a little bit darker, and maybe go ahead and move this dot again to get a better brown color, and I'm going with this color right here. Then let's also go ahead and add in some grass to the scene. To do this, we need to add in some more geometry so we can separate the grass from the dirt. So especially what we want to do is to add in a cut to all of these faces right here, so we can select the upper face and some part of this face as the grass. To add in a cut to right here, we need to add in a loop cut. And you can go ahead and add in a loop cut when you hover with your mouse over this edge right here, for example, but you could also go ahead and use this edge right here. It's only necessary to hover with your mouse over an edge and then go ahead and press Ctrl and R, and now this yellow cut should appear. And you can see that it appears on this edge right here, but also on this edge right here. Now to apply the cut, go ahead and press left click, and after this you're able to slide the cut up or down, and let's go ahead and slide the cut a little bit up to a point around here, and press left click to again apply the cut. After adding in a loop cut, all of the new added vertices are selected, so go ahead and press Alt and A to deselect all. Now let's go ahead and select all of the faces that we want to have in the grass object. For the face selection, go ahead and press 3, and at the top left right here you can see that we're in the face selection mode. Then go ahead and select this face right here, and now we need to select all of these faces around the cylinder. And you of course could go ahead and press Shift and just manually select all of these faces right here. But there's actually a very easy way to do this, because if you have selected the upper face right here, you could just go ahead and hold Ctrl and press numpad plus to extend the selection, and you can see that all of the faces that you wanted to select manually are already selected like this. Alright, now we have selected all of the faces that should be grass, so let's go ahead and separate all of these faces into a new object. To do this, go ahead and press P to open up the separate menu, and go ahead and click on selection to create a new object containing all of the faces that you have selected. In the outliner at the top right, you now have a new object called dirt.001. So go ahead and select the dirt.001, press F2 and go ahead and rename this one to grass. After using P to create a new object, go ahead and press Tab to leave the edit mode, and then just go ahead and press Alt and A to deselect all. Now you can go ahead and select the grass object and head over into the materials tab and go ahead and delete the dirt material by clicking on this minus right here. And now you can see that the grass got white again as we do not have a material. So go ahead and click on new to create a new material and rename this material to grass, and change the base color of course to a green tone, so to a point around here, and go ahead and reduce the brightness all the way to a point around here. Then again go ahead and press Alt and A to deselect all, and go ahead and take a look on what you have created. So at this point the basic shape of the island is already done. So then let's go ahead and add an a tree to the island. So the base shape of the tree trunk would be again a cylinder, but there's a very easier method to model a tree, so that's why we're going to add in a cube to the scene. To add in a cube to the scene, go ahead and press Shift and A to open up the add menu, head over to mesh and go ahead and click on cube. And like this you have already added in a new cube to the scene. Now as long as we will go ahead and model the tree, we do not see the island. So with the cube selected, and you can see that the cube is selected by the orange outline of the cube, go ahead and press numpad / to only focus on the cube. Press tab to go into the edit mode of the cube, and already everything of the cube is selected, but you can go ahead and press A to be sure that everything from the cube is selected. And as we want to model a tree, we of course do not need a cube, but we only need one single vertex, and the easiest way to do this would be to press M to open up the merge menu and go ahead and click on add center to merge all of the cube at the center, and with this you're only left with one single vertex. And out of this single vertex we will now go ahead and model the shape of the tree trunk. To do this, let's go ahead and go into the orthographic front view of the scene. To do this, go ahead and press numpad 1. If you should not have a numpad, you can also go ahead and use this thing at the top right here and just go ahead and click on -y. This does the exact same thing, which does pressing numpad 1. So then from right here, the vertex is still selected, but you can go ahead and make sure that the vertex is selected by pressing A to select all, as we only have the vertex to select. And now let's go ahead and extrude the vertex up to the shape of the tree trunk. Before we go ahead and press E to extrude, make sure that you're in the vertex select mode, so go ahead and press 1 to go into the vertex select mode. And now you can go ahead and press E to extrude the vertex, and with this you have the base vertex at the bottom right here, and you will go ahead and create a new vertex and go ahead and move this vertex to a point around here. Then go ahead and press E again and move the vertex to right here. Then let's go ahead and from here first press E and move the vertex to right here. Then take this vertex again and extrude this vertex all the way to right here. Then at this point I would recommend to move the vertices on the side view as well. So go ahead and press numpad 3 to go into the side view, and right here you can see that we only have a straight line of vertices. So with this vertex selected, go ahead and press G and move the vertex to right here. Then take this vertex, press G and move it to right here. Take this vertex, press G and move it a little bit to the right side. Take this vertex, press G and move it to right here. Then go ahead and go back into the front view by pressing numpad 1 again and press E again with this vertex selected to a point around here. Then take this vertex again and let's go ahead and extrude it one more time to right here, and again to a point around here. Press numpad 3 again to go back into the side view, and make sure that you also move the vertices from the side view. So go ahead and select the vertices and move them just a little bit around so that you have a shape that will look something like this. Now of course you can also go ahead and rotate your view by pressing the middle mouse button and take a look on the shape of the tree trunk. And after taking a look by rotating the view, I think that we should take this vertex right here, go into the front view by pressing numpad 1 and press E again to extrude it up one more time to right here. Press 3 to make sure that we can also move this in the side view, and then go ahead and rotate your view again, and this is looking a little bit better like this, as this part right here will be the main tree, and then we will have some smaller parts of leaves on these parts right here. Alright, but for now the tree trunk consists only of vertices and edges. So the next thing that we want to do is to add in some thickness to the tree trunk. To do this, in this case, you will go ahead and add in a skin modifier. You can go ahead and add in modifiers by clicking on the blue wrench at the right side right here to open up the modifiers tab. Then go ahead and click on add modifier, head over to generate, and in this case we will go ahead and add in a skin modifier. And right now you can already see that we have added in some thickness to the vertices and edges. But of course, this does not look like we want the tree to have. So let's go ahead and press numpad 1 to go into the front view, and press Z to again open up the shading menu. And let's go ahead and press on wireframe to go into the wireframe mode. And in this case, we need to go into the wireframe mode so that you can select the vertices that are inside of the faces of the tree. Because if you would go ahead and go back into the solid mode, you can see that you cannot select the vertices as you cannot see the vertices. So let's go back into the wireframe mode and select the bottom vertex right here. And now we need to scale up this vertex right here. While working with the skin modifier, you cannot go ahead and press S to scale this up, as you can see that nothing changes. So while working with the skin modifier, to scale up the vertex, you need to go ahead and press Ctrl and A for scaling, and then you can go ahead and move your mouse, and let's go ahead and move our mouse a little bit to the right side, to right here. Then you can go ahead and select this vertex right here, press Ctrl and A again, and move your mouse a little bit to the left side to scale this a little bit down. Take this vertex right here, press Ctrl and A again, and scale this down all the way to a point around here. Then let's go ahead and with Shift select all of these 3 vertices at the same time. Press Ctrl and A and move your mouse to the left side to scale all of these vertices down. to a point around here. And then let's go ahead and select both of these vertices right here. Press Ctrl and A and move your mouse to the left side to a point all the way around here. And we've actually skipped a vertex right here. So let's go ahead and select this one as well. Press Ctrl and A and move your mouse to the left side to scale it down all the way to a point around here. Now let's go ahead and go back into the solid mode. So press Z to open up the shading menu and go ahead and click on solid. Now you can go ahead and rotate your view and take a look on what you have created. So the tree trunk looks already really good. So now let's also go ahead and add in a material to the tree trunk. To do this, let's go back into the materials tab by clicking on the sweat sphere at the right side right here. And let's go ahead and click on new to add in a new material to the scene and rename this material to wood. Then before you go ahead and change the base color, make sure that you're in the material preview mode. So go ahead and press Z again to open up the shading menu and go ahead and click on material preview to go into the material preview mode. Now you can go ahead and click on base color right here, change the tone to an orange thing right here, and go ahead and reduce the brightness a little bit to make it a little bit darker all the way to a point around here. So now let's go ahead and add in some leaves to this tree. To add in the leaves, we will go ahead and add in a sphere, but before we will go ahead and add in the sphere, we need to change the place of the 3D cursor. Because if we now would go ahead and press Shift and A and add in a sphere, the sphere will be added in right here where the 3D cursor is. But we of course need the sphere to be added in right here, and right here. So in order to do this, we need to take the 3D cursor from right here and place it all the way up to right here. To do this, go ahead and click on the upper vertex right here so it gets white, which means that the vertex is selected. And then go ahead and press Shift and S to open up the snap menu. And right here you need to select the option cursor to select it to set the cursor to the selected vertex. And as easy as that, we have already set the 3D cursor to the vertex where we need to add in the sphere. So now we can go ahead and add in the sphere. So go ahead and press Tab to go back into the object mode, press Shift and A to open up the add menu, head over to mesh and add in a UV sphere to the scene. Now this UV sphere is a little bit too high poly, so let's go ahead and again at the bottom left open up this menu right here by clicking on this arrow right here, and let's go ahead and reduce the segments down to 12 and go ahead and reduce the rings down to 6. Then let's go ahead and press Tab to go into the edit mode of the UV sphere and press number 1 to go into the front view. So the first thing that we need to do is to scale up this UV sphere. So go ahead and press S for scaling and go ahead and scale this up to a point around here. Then let's go ahead and press G and move this a little bit up to a point around here. And as the tree trunk bends at this point right here, we also need to bend the UV sphere to make it look good. So go ahead and press R for rotation and go ahead and rotate the UV sphere to a point around here. Then let's also go ahead and press number 3 to go into the side view, and you can see that the tree trunk also bends in this direction right here. So let's go ahead and press R again and rotate the UV sphere to a point around here and press left click to apply the rotation. And let's go ahead and rotate our view and take a look on how this is looking, and this is looking really good. So before we go ahead and add in some more variations, let's first go ahead and also add in a sphere to right here and right here. So the first thing that we need to do is to place the 3D cursor to this vertex right here. But for right now, there is no vertex because we're in the edit mode of the UV sphere and not of the tree trunk. So go ahead and press Tab to leave the edit mode of the UV sphere and go ahead and click on the tree trunk so it gets selected, and press Tab to go into the edit mode of the tree trunk. Click on this vertex right here to select it, and then go ahead and press Shift and S again to open up the snap menu, and go ahead and click on cursor to select it to set the 3D cursor from right here to right here. Then go ahead and press Tab again to leave the edit mode of the tree trunk, select the sphere, then press Tab to go into the edit mode of the UV sphere. And in this case, if we will go ahead and press Shift and A, you will go ahead and open up the mesh menu and not the add menu, as we're in the edit mode and not in the object mode. But in this case, we want to add in the UV sphere into the same object as the other UV sphere. So go ahead and click on UV sphere to add in a new UV sphere to the scene. Let's go ahead and press number 1 to go into the front view, and press S to scale the UV sphere down all the way to a point around here. Let's first go ahead and press G and move it to a point around here. Press R to rotate it a little bit to a point around here. Let's go ahead and take a look by rotating the view, and this is looking fine. Now let's also go ahead and press number 3 to go into the side view, and from right here we need to rotate it a little bit to the left side and maybe move it a little bit to the left side with G to right here, and just go ahead and take a look by rotating the view, and this is looking fine. So now let's also go ahead and add in the last UV sphere to this point right here. And just go ahead and rotate your view and take a look on what you have created. Alright, then let's go ahead and press Alt and A to deselect all, and as the next step we'll go ahead and add in a material. So as we're already in the material menu, let's just go ahead and click on new to add in a new material and rename this one to leaves, and go ahead and change the base color, of course, to a green tone to right here, and just go ahead and move the brightness down a little bit to a point around here. Click somewhere into the scene to close up the color menu, and let's go ahead and rename the sphere to leaves, and go ahead and rename the cube to tree trunk. So after moving the 3D cursor, I would recommend to set the 3D cursor back to the world origin. So let's go ahead and press Shift and S to open up the snap menu, and go ahead and click on cursor to world origin to set it back to where it was. Alright, and this is already it for modeling the tree. So let's go ahead and press Tab to leave the edit mode of the leaves, and press Alt and A to deselect all. So now let's go ahead and bring back our island by pressing again numpad slash to unfocus from the tree. And before you will go ahead and scale up the tree trunk and the sphere, make sure that you do not have any modifiers enabled. We do not have used a modifier to the leaves, so just go ahead and select the tree trunk and head back into the modifiers tab, and of course right here we have the skin modifier. And as we are already finished using the skin modifier, you can go ahead and apply the skin modifier, and you will go ahead and do this by clicking on this arrow right here and go ahead and click on apply. Now with the tree trunk already selected, we can also go ahead and with Shift select the leaves and press Tab to go into the edit mode of both objects. Now go ahead and press A to select all, and let's go ahead and press S to scale the tree up to a point around here, and then let's go ahead and press G and Z to move the tree up only on the Z axis to a point around here where it first sticks out of the grass, and then let's go ahead and move this back down until all of the bottom vertices disappear inside of the grass, like this. Then let's go ahead and move the tree a little bit back and to the left side, and to do this go ahead and press G again to move it, and press Y to move it only on the Y axis back to a point around here, and then go ahead and press G and X to only be able to move it on the X axis, and go ahead and move it to a point around here. Then you can go ahead and press Tab again to go back into the object mode, press Alt and A to deselect all, and go ahead and take a look on what you have created. Alright my kings and queens, this is it for this episode of the series. In the next episode we'll go ahead and create a fence and a sitting bench, so you can go ahead and watch the next episode right now. And if you're interested in how to create this low poly forest house scene, I have created a complete step-by-step course on how to do it. So if you're really ambitious in 3D modeling, you can go ahead and check this out with the link in my description. If you want to learn even more about 3D modeling, you can go ahead and join my Discord server, where you can go ahead and ask any question you have about 3D modeling, and you will get an answer in no time. So this is the best way to learn Blender fast. So now my kings and queens, go ahead and watch the next episode right now. I will see you there.